Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
All day.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. You'll get fucking thrown out by Big Tony.
We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Don't blow it. Keep it simple. Count your money.
No, whatever it is.
Hey, welcome to the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. This is episode 72. Got a long-time listener of the show, first time on the show, Jeremy Smith. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks, Marky. How you going?
Yeah, good.
It's so weird. I've never done this before. It's
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. I don't like. A lot of people have seen clips from the podcast, but not everyone sort of like watched like the whole video stuff. So a lot of people, like when they come in for the first time, they're like, "Oh, this is where the clips are made." Like
yeah,
the
just sitting in
videos
a
I've
room
seen.
with another guy talking like this. It's very intimate. It's
You're here with like at least 3 other guys, 4 maybe, because like each poster is like looking at you as well as like.
It's I didn't realize podcast was just pictures of you on the wall.
Essentially, it is. Yeah,
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm going to do this at my home now. I'm going to put pictures of me on the wall.
But it's a bit like when you go to defeat Bowser in Mario. He's got a portrait of himself on the wall. Like it's just to show. Like I'm kind of like the final boss of the Canberra podcast.
You are.
Not really. It's more so when if you've been on any others, then you probably just stay on those, and most people don't come to mind. But
The other thing is, Marky, you can't get rid of your beard, man. Like your beard's there forever.
I'm stuck now. It's
that's it.
It's the look that I've gone for. It's a bit like I try not to fall into that category of like having like a thing that I always wear on stage. You know what I mean? Like a specific thing.
You do have that shirt that's Mr. Right Now. That's one you do wear quite often.
It's
which is true. You are Mr. Right Now.
It's funny because it's the only white shirt. I actually originally wore that because I knew the stage backdrop was going to be black curtains and it was going to be filmed. So I'm like, I need to wear a contrasting colour. Yeah. And the only shirt I had that was light was that one, and it's got black sleeves. So it's kind of become what I used for that. And the images that I sent to the cartoonist that did that used were those photos. So that's
it would have been good if you had to put the text on there. That would have been
Well, the best thing is now I haven't launched it yet, but I have those shirts with that logo on the pocket. So
that's beautiful.
Anyway. And when I wear one, it's kind of like a cartoon version of me on the shirt that I'm wearing.
Yeah, that's something. Anyway, no, it's good. It's good to be here, Mark. I've been waiting for this for ages, to be honest, mate. I've been waiting to get on this podcast, but this is my first podcast. But thank you.
I think you're the only person that actually was waiting. And
there's a long list of people in Canberra waiting for this podcast. Man.
Isn't that good? The people that I hit up always are just like, oh, maybe I'll let you know. And then the people that actually want to be here are waiting for me to hit them up. That's a fucking double-edged sword, isn't it?
Oh, really? So I was meant to play hard. Like as soon as you sent the message, I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
No, you're one of the good ones. I can't even guarantee the people that have been on it wanted to be. They're just probably fucking sick of. See, the biggest thing is I find. It's hard. Some comedians don't want to promote themselves. It's hard to like.
Yeah.
Like most personalities of a comedian is like, don't fucking look at me, but also I need you to look at me to sell tickets and do stage time.
Yeah. That's probably one of the oddest things about doing comedy is that you have to self-promote. That's been the trickiest because you don't do that in normal life, do you? You don't sort of do self-promoting.
No.
And yeah, like you say, like a lot of comedians are, certainly me, like I come from a background with a bit of mental health, can I say that? And yeah, it's not natural to go
Absolutely,
and say.
you can say that.
It's not natural to come and say, yeah, come and check me out because I'm a weirdo. Like,
Yeah.
But you have to.
Background in mental health. I think that a lot of the time you're better off like leaning into that, right? Like being like, if you want people to watch you on stage, you got to kind of overcome that awkwardness of self-promotion. Like initially, I didn't set up an Instagram or a Facebook or anything like that for my comedy. But then I got to the point where just not wanting to do it became counterproductive. So I was like, it's either I lean into it, create an Instagram, create a Facebook and start promoting shit and then make it what it is, or I just keep meandering around and eventually I'll just won't have a following and won't have anything
Yeah.
all at the cost of, because I didn't want people to give me shit for self-promoting, you know?
Yeah, it's a very unusual process, but yeah, it's you know that's kind of cool aspect of it. I guess you're sort of putting yourself out there, but yeah, you feel pretty exposed, you know, especially the idea of saying, you know, like even if I am doing a show and you know, you're sending messages out to friends like saying, yeah, come and check me out, I'm really funny, like it's really yeah.
Do you ever find that like sometimes you promote a show and you see someone there that you notice and it puts you off a little bit, like if you recognise someone in the audience?
No, but I feel really self-conscious thinking, you know, what if I say, yeah, come and check it out,
Yeah.
and then you're not funny?
Yeah.
It's a weird process to be going through, isn't it? Like, I mean, you can sort of, it's just different at work, isn't it? Like, you go to work and you know you can sort of do your job. But anyway, it's a very deep market to be talking about how serious aspects of comedy. But it's getting weird.
I can't always be the cartoon. Yeah, I've got to sometimes be the fucking the over psych-analysed fucking, you know, TV doctor. Phil. Yeah,
so it is weird sort of having people in the audience, especially people that, you know, like I don't really look at the audience because I can't. Like I just, all I can do is just sort of reel off my bit. There's people around, like people like yourself and other people who seem to be more comfortable up on stage and they'll just sort of riff and talk. I can't do that. I'm just going to go out there and do my bit. And a lot of the time you can't see people anyway, which is probably a good thing. Like,
well, we can't do all fucking theatre gigs, mate. But,
I'm used to the big stage, Mark. That's
yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm here.
The biggest stage that I'm on is the one that I've created on my social media platforms by just telling people that I'm bigger than I really am. I actually feel like that is a thing, though. Like, I feel like people that, because I have a few followers that only know me from social media. They've only followed my page because they like a clip or something like that, and they've never been to a show. And for the longest time, people were looking at my comedy poster and thinking that I was doing a fucking hour every month at the Basement and didn't read it and realise that it was an open mic and I was just emceeing it. Like,
they hadn't come to see you.
They've just gone like, oh, I'll have to make it out to one of your shows one time, and you're just sitting there like,
why aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, and then just like fucking like not know what it even is or even read the poster. Like, I don't expect everyone that sees it to like be as interested in it as I am. But I do think that, like, if I follow a page, I usually have a little bit more, like, conviction behind why I followed it. Like, I kind of want to know what it is about and all that sort of shit. I mean, at the end of the day, I appreciate followers, but I really prefer, like, more, like, loyal followers that, like, also come to shows and shit like that.
Yeah, see, I'm at a different stage for you, Marky, which is why I'm surprised that I'm here on your podcast, because I don't have followers, so to speak. Like I've done shows and people have come to see shows and stuff.
Well, you're not going to have much more after this, but
I'm expecting. Is this live streaming? Like, is this?
Oh no, I didn't want to do it live.
I expect this is going to be the turning point in my career, Marky.
Yeah, well, the issue is I can't pull out any of the ramblings that I put in there accidentally. So the reason is that I want to retain my followers as much as you'd like to get some.
And so you don't put it out live because you want to vet it.
Yeah, I need to sometimes vet it.
Are you going to get rid of that bit?
No, that'll stay in. Yeah, that'll stay in. I don't think we've crossed any territory yet. We are 8 minutes and 45 seconds in. If you look down at the counter and we're less than that, then I've cut something out.
Can I see a counter, or can they see a counter?
They'll see it because they'll be able to see how long the video is. Yeah,
it's beautiful. Yeah. That's connecting, man.
I'm doing crowd work to an audience that isn't even existent yet.
How many views does this thing get? Like when you put one of these out?
This one 3, but normally around 30.
That's 3 new people that are going to want to see me.
No, it's 3 of the 30 that unsubscribed after watching the first 3 seconds.
Possibly. You saying that's because of me or because of you?
No, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Well, it even happens with bigger podcasts. Like, I'm not okay. So honestly, my views at this point, and look, this is at a point.
Views or views?
Views. Yeah. My few views. At this point, I usually get around anywhere from like 5 to 30 regular views, right?
Yeah. G'day, 30 people.
Yeah, I'd probably err on the 5 side for that
so.
one. Yeah, just go for the safe bet. But sometimes I'll put out like a clip as a short, and it'll get like 1,000. Like it just depends on what I do, but that's only it's because of today's society. A fucking 15-second clip is about the attention span of the average online audience.
Yeah.
So if I put out an hour, because I've done a couple podcasts that were like 2 hours, right? In the early days of podcasting, and I had to like really make a conscious effort to keep it under an hour, because even the people that are in it for the long haul. By long haul, an hour is about... Fuck, I haven't even watched the last episode of Stranger Things because I've seen it goes for 2 hours and 39 minutes. And I was just like, dude, I have not got a fucking enough time to wonder what the fuck happens.
No, so what's embarrassing is I don't really know what Stranger Things are.
Yeah.
That's probably terrible.
The fact that you said, I don't know what they are, means that...
Well, I know it's a show, but anyway. So I've got this terrible habit of...
Stranger Things. Are those the things if you spend over $30 at Coles, they give you one with the...
like a plush toy.
Like yeah. Do you have any Stranger Things left?
I don't even get through movies these days. Like I'll do a movie by Wikipedia. I don't know if that's really showing my age because I'm a bit older than most comedians around.
The fact you know what fucking Wikipedia is just showing your age, dude.
That's all. So I watch half of a movie and I think, no, I can't be bothered. I'm gonna go check the rest out on Wikipedia and see what happens. And go to sleep. Yeah.
I don't even bother. Like if I'm not going to start watching it, I'll watch the whole. I'll just Wikipedia the whole. Do you know what? Actually, I don't even Wikipedia. It's either I spend a lot of my life watching this movie, like a 3-hour movie, or I won't spend any time at all. Yeah. Like I don't. I think
it's very digital, very
it's very Asperger's. But the thing is, it's like I either spend no time on it or all my time on it. It's just the way that I work. Like I either get like obsessed with something and fucking will just like spend as much of my time as possible on it, or I'll just be looking for like the next thing that's going to be the thing that I spend all my time on.
So how do you decide between the one you actually watch and the one you don't?
Okay, maybe there's a 30-second vetting process. But after that, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I can look at a movie just by... they say don't judge a book by a cover. Well, make a better fucking cover if you want me to read it then.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
I will look at them at the short, like the trailer of a movie or whatever, and just be like, there is no fucking way I'm going to watch that shit. And then my vetting is I'll let someone else watch it and tell me that it's worth watching.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I outsource my fucking...
it's like an assistant.
Yeah, I'm like the world's my assistant for my life.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've got a wife and kids now, Marky, and so my movies are now, Pixar, that type of stuff. I mean, kids movies, which are actually pretty good. Like there's again, that's probably embarrassing to admit, but there's really good kids cartoons. Yeah, really deep stuff.
No, legit though. Like, how good is it? Like that exists. Like because when I was a kid, and when they're probably more like stage productions when you were a kid, but like our version of a movie. Okay, not that old. All right, never mind. Fuck. Kids movies were just for kids, but it seems like now they've kind of made, although they wouldn't be for kids now because they put so much like mature content in older kids movies. But I feel like now there is actually, it's nearly like they know that parents are going to be watching them with the kid now. There's like a little bit, it's a little bit for everybody. It's a bit like, do you remember Play School from back in the day? The original presenters would sometimes drop a joke in there for the parents.
There was that one guy. What's his name?
Phil. Was it Phil?
Or John. There was one
guy.
John
and Monica.
Like
was it Monica? John and Monica were like the
I don't know.
They were like the originals. I think her name was Monica anyway. So, what was the joke that he dropped in there though? There was like a notorious one that he had.
There was one about bottoms or something. Or anyway, it was.
I don't know what a bottom hat looks like, but that's a top hat. Perhaps you'd like to get somebody to help you make a glass bottom boat, but preferably not anybody in the family because it's obscene and it's called incest.
Get out of there, Jemima, will you? Well, it's time for us to go now, but before we go, because it's the last day of school this week, well, let's shut the doors.
Yeah, it was good
They
stuff.
used to do that show live, dude, and I sent a clip. Actually, if I can find it, I'm gonna put this clip right here in post edit. So if you're watching the podcast on YouTube, you will
I'm
see.
still coming to terms with this versus what I'll see in the end production. But anyway, there'll be
I will put the image over here to play as we're doing it. I'll do a commentary. So what happens is the guy that one of the originals, when they used to do it live, is playing with the dolls. He's got them out and he's fucking holding them and doing the little scene that he's created. And as he leans forward, a pack of Winnie Reds fall out of his top pocket and just slap between the down on the bench between the two characters that he's playing with. Yeah. And he's whoa, and just puts that. He's better not touch those, ha ha, and just fucking gets it going again. But that's what sort of shit would be on there. There was stuff in there that was just for everybody, and I think also because kid shows weren't very common then. Still getting used to the idea of having an audience of kids funded by the parents.
Yeah, and I do a joke about what my kids have now versus what I had. I remember having at one stage one TV channel. That was it, ABC. That's really showing my age, isn't it? But
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, that's true. I was living out in regional Queensland, so that was partly why. But yeah, one TV channel, and then at one stage it was.
You're in fucking isolation before it was cool.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But anyway, it's I watch a lot of kids shows now, which is good. I kind of enjoy them,
Yeah, well, like I said, it's aimed not just at kids. If a new Pixar movie or something comes out that's a follow-on from a series I grew up with, so when I was a kid, it was the 90s Pixar shit, Toy Story and all that sort of shit. But they're still putting out newer versions of that movie. So if I'm on Disney Plus or whatever, and because they've got Futurama and Simpsons and stuff on Disney Plus, which is why I pay for a subscription, which is why they should be paying me for the fucking ad, you fucking dickheads. But I see there's a new Toy Story out. Well, I remember the first one, so I'll watch that just to see what it because I fell in love with it when I was a kid, so that nostalgia it carries on into adulthood. It's a bit why I still watch the fucking Terminator series. The first two were fire, so I'm just committed to that series, even if they're off the rails and shit. Now I still need to keep watching them.
I've only really seen the first two ones, and then they just lose it, don't they?
The best description I ever heard was Terminator 1 was brutal. Terminator 2 was a love story between a boy and his pet cyborg. And that is essentially... Yeah. And I've got Terminator 1 and 2 jokes I do on stage, which are not as funny as that, short piece. There's so many jokes that I've, boiled down and just been that's all that needed to be. Not a full sentence, just that.
Yeah, no, I do that a bit, stretch them out too long and they just, Is that what you're saying? They get a bit tired, people get bored with what you're saying.
It's nearly I've put it out before I worked on it. You know what I mean? It's still a bit doughy. And it's Jim Norton's got this great fucking joke about the UFC. It's out there, it exists, so I can say it. But it's not he texted it to me and said, "What do you think of this joke?" But he was just the UFC looks like two blokes are about to have sex, and midway through, one of them decides he doesn't want to anymore.
Yeah, I got obsessed. Sorry, this is a bit different, but I got a bit obsessed with UFC, watching clips of UFC because it's just so violent, isn't it? It's just so unbelievably violent. I just got sort of captivated by.
Blanca from Street Fighter, dude. You just had to watch war.
Oh,
you
man,
chaos
crazy.
And murder.
But now, on my social media feeds, UFC stuff comes through all the time, and I can't get rid of it. I can't. It just assumes that I'm in this really violent.
Fucking Jeremy Rogan over here.
Yeah, that's right. I've tried to watch clips of kitty cats to make myself appear more sweet and caring, but I still get the UFC feed coming.
Yeah, and it's just turned into a mixture of both, where it's just nature docos of the big cats destroying other animals. That's the middle ground. Maybe that's what it should be. Maybe if you look up to try and recorrect it, you'll start looking at nature documentaries, and maybe it'll just give you that midline down the middle. It's animals and nature and UFC in one thing.
I thought you were going to say what we need, Mark, is a Colosseum type people versus animals. Like that.
Oh yeah, like the ancient Romans used to do.
Yeah,
They
that's
verse
right.
like, what is this? The bloody the history podcast. So yeah, another thing that I was thinking of when we're chatting earlier about like not wanting to be out there as a comedian, but also needing to be out there. I think also society is a little bit like they give people shit for like promoting themselves. Like I feel like the reputation sometimes is like, oh, look at this wanker. He's got like fucking like me. I've like over the years, I've like managed to build about 1,000 Instagram followers, and that's not anywhere near what like it should be to get regular things. And a lot of that I've just built like over the years, right? And slowly getting it to that point, like, you know, but it nearly feels like by promoting myself, I'm also susceptible from people that aren't promoting themselves, feeling like they're the fucking superior type of person. Like they're like, oh, I got 100, but like I didn't even do anything. Whereas
in the comedy scene, like or influencers,
just in general, like entertainers in general, like there seems to be this vibe of like vibes like an atmosphere. And just like bringing you up to speed.
Yeah.
You know,
thanks.
So where it's like if you work to build a following, people will give you shit, it seems, that aren't willing to put in that work. So it's like they don't put in the work, but they're making it seem like they meant to do it that way, as opposed to they just were too lazy to fucking do it.
There's a term for this, Mark. It's tall poppy syndrome. Is that what you're talking about? Like people who get out there and
There's a whole thing for this?
There's a term.
Okay.
Tall poppy syndrome. Have you heard of that?
No, what's that?
It's a real Australian thing. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about? Where people who
What's a tall poppy syndrome?
do you really not know?
I've heard of it. We'll explain.
So a tall poppy syndrome is. Do you really not know? Like, am I really explaining?
No, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
So that's where, you know, in Australia.
I thought it was like some Anzac Day shit.
No. So that's in. No. We can talk about Anzac Day. I used to be in the military, but anyway, we won't.
That's not. It's not an Anzac Day thing.
No. So tall poppies.
I thought it was like PTSD or something, because it's like, you know, like I went like poppies, Anzac Day, Remembrance Day, poppies in the wall. Maybe I'm going a bit too far.
Yeah, no. I think you're being a bit too. So tall poppy syndrome is a thing in Australia where people who do well get criticised because they're doing well by the people who. So the tall poppy that grows taller. I can't believe I have to explain this to you, Mark. This is embarrassing. But
For me or you? Because I'm having fun.
Well, both, because I'm not explaining it very well. But so the tall poppy grows big, and the small poppies criticise the tall poppy because it's doing really well. Is that
criticise it?
Yeah. Because they don't like people doing. Australia is a bit against people doing well. Do you know what I mean? Like people.
Yeah, no, I get it. So it's like I'm building my way up. So then the other poppies, people, are like
who are a bit too lazy to put themselves out there, or don't want to put themselves out there. Don't want to see other people doing well, so they'll sort of cut them down. Cut down the tall poppy, so to speak. But.
Oh, right. And also, if you're going to like cut a poppy, you'd probably go for the one that was above the rest, right?
It's not people cutting the poppy; it's the small poppies cutting down the big poppy bark.
Fuck. All right. Okay. What are you, like a little poppy or something?
Anyway,
did the other fucking poppy send you in here to get me?
Yeah. So I've come in here to cut you down because you're a tall poppy.
What is this? The fucking insane clown poppy?
Anyway, getting back to you talking yourself.
Well, that's the thing,
promoting
though.
yourself.
Yeah. Well, I've never heard that. Well, I've heard that term. I didn't I've never heard it explained.
Yeah.
Like I said, man, like that just saved me Googling it and its content for the podcast. Like, see how I crowdsource my fucking information.
Yeah, I'm pleased I could sort of provide insight. And if you're getting insight from me, Mark, that's not a good thing, man. Like, I'm not a very insightful person.
Yeah, well, it's the problem with crowdfunding, isn't it? Sometimes it's better than others. But I have heard other comedians say that it's a very Australian thing, like you said. Like like we always support the underdog, and the minute you're like the front runner, then there's a new underdog.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I don't really know how to approach the comedy scene, Mark. Like, so I sort of figure there's people who are just naturally good, funny people, and they will just.
You got some clips and stuff out there though. I like your content.
I think I'm okay. Like until this show goes on air, and then I'll be amazing. But yeah, there's people who are just naturally quite funny, and I assume I don't know if this is true or not.
One day I'll be on your podcast.
And it won't be in my room, like it'll be in a proper studio.
Studio, yeah. This
But
isn't my room.
It's very cozy.
Well, it's
You don't
a
sleep in
dedicated room that is for the studio. But yeah,
Anyway, I assume that there's people who in comedy or any sort of career or entertainment type field who'll just naturally do quite well. To some extent, regardless, and I don't know if this is true. This is just sort of chucking this out there. Regardless of whether they're promoting themselves or not, that they're just a bit sort of destined to be good comedians. Do you think that there's probably a bit of a mix of both? I'm not saying it's one or the other, but do you think there's people who there's comedians and the people who self-promote and put themselves out there are the ones who'll do well, or do you think there's an element of that there's natural comedians who will just do? Yeah,
absolutely. There's people that are naturally funny and good, but they are shit at promotion. So if you catch them at an open mic, you're like, fuck, dude, that guy's so good. Have you done comedy before? No. Have you got your shit together and gone to more open mics? I did one like 4 years ago. Okay. So that person is good, but they just don't have the promotion. Usually those people end up, if they make it, it's because they went with like a promotional company that did all the social media and shit for them.
Okay. Yep.
Then there's people, and I'm not going to say which one of these, I'm not going to say which one of these I am.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Because I've just talked about how much I promote myself.
That's right.
But I don't want to seem like I'm like got this like the same way that the tall poppy syndrome. I don't want to. No, that's not the right way to use that term. The fuck, I've already. I just learned it again. I've learnt it and I fucked it up. No, I'll just listen back to the tape.
Yeah.
Save you the time. This time I'll actually do some research on my own show. I'll let someone else watch my podcast and tell me whether I should fucking listen to it. But I honestly think, without sounding too full of myself, I think I'm funny enough, right? Like I'm not like hilarious, but I'm only a 5-year comedian, and the people I compare myself to are like 20, 30-year comedians. They're like all my influences and shit.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I'm somewhere in between these two. So there's people that do no promotion and they're funny. Yeah. And then there's people, and there's everything in between, and you get down to your people that just put everything online and they're not quite there. Like they need more practice. They'll put stuff out half-baked. Yeah. They won't write. They'll just like... I get people that'll record like a full open mic set on their phone and just put the entire set online, like while they're still working on stuff. Like I've been fairly careful when I release stuff online that I only do like crowd work stuff or bits that I want to burn, like that might be topical or whatever. Like I go about it with like a fairly big comedian mindset, although I'm not at that level yet. Yeah, right. So I only put out material that I don't see myself recording and putting out as like a special. So that's what I do. Whereas someone like yourself, because I don't do music. So for listeners that don't know Jeremy's style of comedy, you do stand up and some musical stuff, right?
Yeah. So I do a couple of songs. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm a great musician, Marky, but it's just nice to have something that's a bit different from.
No, it's good.
Just
it's good. I actually do think that you're good at
that's
guitar.
what I was looking for, Marky. Thank you. That's why I was putting that out there. So I'm not very good, and I was expecting. Yeah, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah. See, fucking coax me into the. Yeah, but
so needy, isn't it? See, this is what comedians are. Comedians are very needy. Which is completely understandable. They need that validation.
Why are we on stage doing it? You know, that's why.
It makes perfect sense. But that's a funny part of the process. Is that I
don't even take it back. You are good at guitar, dude. Like it's a good level, like of it's a good mix of comedy and guitar. And the good thing is I see you also just do open mics when you can. Like it's not just, you don't sort of fall into that the safety net of having the noise of the guitar to cover up any silence.
Yeah, I prefer the stand-up. Like I was talking to somebody at the basement the other day, and I think I prefer doing the stand-up. I really enjoy writing.
Shout out Chris Martin.
Yeah.
Was it? No, I'm just...
No, it was Cameron Ribbons.
Oh, yeah.
Who's
No,
been on the show before. Who's a friend of the show.
He's
is that how you describe him? Is that
yeah, that's someone that's been on the show before. Actually, he's good to get like feedback from. I think I've learnt a lot about things from my set, which from like Cameron's perspective.
Cameron's very natural on stage. He's one of those people that's just very comfortable up there and much more comfortable than me.
It's also good to get the view of someone that's like fucking over 6 foot. Yeah,
he's huge, isn't he? Yeah, It's really. Yeah. Anyway, you are a big guy, Cameron. That's true. If you're one of the 5 listeners. I enjoy writing stuff. I think I'm good at writing stuff. I don't think I'm as good at performing it as I am at writing stuff. But I enjoy the stand-up probably more than the music. But I do like writing a song because it's, I don't think it's very strategic. But I think in comedy you sort of need something to sort of stand out a little bit. Like we were talking about before, you sort of need to have something that puts you out there. And I think anything that is a bit different. Is good. Like Chris Martin's very good. He has quite a different approach to his comedy, and I think that makes him stand out. And so I think the music is good in that context. It's just something that I can do that's a bit different. And I can sit on the couch at night and play the guitar while my partner chews because I can't stand the sound of people chewing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it makes me. There's a term for that. It's called misophobic or something, or where you can't. There's certain sounds you don't like.
Homophobic.
I grew up in Queensland, and I did have periods where I thought I was I probably shouldn't admit this, but I thought I was homophobic, but I'm not. But grow up in Queensland, you're sort of taught to be a bit homophobic.
Yeah, it is. That's actually a good point.
Is it? That I used to be homophobic.
I actually needed that. That's why I said it.
Lucky there's only 5 people watching because this could ruin my comedy career.
No, that's why I actually said that so that you could admit that because I could start the next part of the podcast. No, I don't.
This was all set up before. You said, "Can you talk about something about being homophobic?"
Well, in the same way that you needed me to give you a compliment on your guitar, I needed content for the podcast.
If we didn't talk about that, I just brought you in. But anyway, go homophobic. Go mate. Don't lose your train of thought.
So when we were chatting before about like the tall poppy syndrome,
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was beautiful.
So that's do you remember when we were really connected before? But yeah, I think that in the same way, like the Australian culture has that like beat up the guy that's in front and support the underdog. Yeah. I also think that sometimes like there's the whole like and it also ties into like not promoting yourself because that's seen as like, why would you want to do that? Yeah. I think the Australian culture is very like, don't promote yourself, don't do anything like that puts you out there, but also be funny at the same time. And I think that it's different in different areas. Do you find coming from like far north or from central Queensland or wherever the fuck you're from in Queensland?
Wherever the fuck you're from.
Wherever the fuck you're from.
Anyway.
That's the new ad campaign. Wherever the fuck you're from in Queensland.
Anyway,
welcome to God's country.
Do you
find that that's different in different areas? I only thought of that mentioning the like homophobia and like growing up in Queensland and that sort of shit. Like I think it all ties together. Like the whole like, oh, what do you want people to look at you, mate? Like, what are you, bloody gay? Like you up there on stage with your little bloody shorts on and shit. Like, and then like the whole like, why would you want to promote yourself? What do you want to get on stage and promote yourself? What are you, bloody gay or something, mate? Like, and I feel like that is like a very like old school way of thought. Like I've had people come up to me at the end of the comedy nights and been like, oh, bloody, you bloody think you're funny or something, do you? It's just like, dude, yes. Like, otherwise I wouldn't be fucking doing this. Like, do you think that it's different in different areas, and do you think we'll, like, get away from that eventually, or do you think that...
You mean regionally, like, geographically?
Yeah, regionally, like, you know, like, more isolated parts of Australia, like you mentioned before in Queensland and stuff like that?
Yeah, look, maybe. I mean, maybe different ways, Marky. So... I sort of felt, and this could be completely self-imposed, this could be nothing to do with where I grew up, but I feel that where I grew up, any sort of artistic type pursuit wasn't seen as relevant or valid or or a worthwhile pursuit.
Unless you're going out laying bricks, you're not a real fucking breadwinner for the family sort of thing.
Well,
Do you reckon? Or-
as in laying bricks is artistic, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no. I mean, like, straight.
No, but
Not in an artistic way, but like just like a building kind of way. Like you have to work in construction. If you don't have a job where you're not wearing high vis, you're not a fucking contributing member of society. And,
Yeah, absolutely. So where I went to school in Gympie in Queensland, at St Patrick's College in Gympie in Queensland, it wasn't sort of put as a. It just wasn't seen as a worthwhile path in a career context. Doing anything sort of arty, music, and like out of my school, there's only one person I know who sort of was doing music at school, and then went on to a musical career. It's Darren Hanlon, who used to get quite a bit of airplay on Triple J.
Yeah.
But nobody else was pursuing anything artistic, like anything creative, really, like art or music or acting or theatre or whatever. And because it just wasn't seen as a valid career path. And I guess it's probably true to an extent that it's probably going down that path probably isn't terribly lucrative in terms of, unless you become Dave Hughes or Russell Crowe or someone.
That's what makes it so much better when you do it.
I think so.
Fucking hard.
And I think that we're so, and I try and say this to my kids, like we're so obsessed with money and going down a career path that's going to make you lots of money. Anything that isn't seen as a lucrative type industry isn't sort of given relevance. And I spent time up in the Torres Strait doing work up there with Torres Strait communities, and up there, and I assume it's the same for mainland Indigenous communities. But art in all forms, so whether it's dancing, painting, art,
music, whatever.
Yeah, all that stuff is just part of the community. Everyone does it, and so in the Torres Strait, a fisherman who goes out fishing for dirty old fish every day, he'd come back and he'd paint a picture and he would sell that in a gallery. And so up there, and as I say, I assume it's a bit similar in mainland Indigenous communities, but art and creative things is just integrated into society, whereas it's not like that. Certainly where I grew up, maybe there are communities where Byron Bay, where it's seen to be just part of, but. So, I sort of wished, I came to this quite late, I sort of came to this age of 43 or 42, and I wished I had done it a bit sooner. But, I was busy sort of doing the career thing. I wasn't very good at that either, but.
Yeah, well, you don't have you don't have fucking Jono that cuts wood on Saturday, and he's just like, I got wood there if you want any, how much for a ton. Also, I've got these bloody paintings I did if you want anything there. They're all on traditional canvases, all that sort of shit. Like, you don't have that. I got a fucking hat that I made out of a rabbit skin, like you don't have.
It's seen as this really fringe activity. Anything, well, not anything, but often in our, especially Australian society, artistic pursuits are seen as a fringe activity which nobody really should or could do. But not to say that.
I wonder how many artists are suppressed by that. Like, how much more art could we have if people were more accepting of that as a career choice?
Yeah, heaps. Yeah, I think there's heaps of creative, talented people out there who are incredibly good at whatever it is they do, but don't do it because it's not a money making thing.
Yeah.
I play the guitar and I love it, and again, I'm okay at it, but I don't think I'm great. And I can.
No, you're good, Jeremy. You're good.
Thank you. But you see on like my social media feed, because I'll jump on YouTube and I'll see someone playing a song to learn how to play a song. And now were we talking about UFC before we got on, or now I have lots of UFC feeds. So I also have lots of musical feed coming on my social media.
I think that was on mic, yes. So that's fine.
Okay. A bit of a callback there.
It was either a callback or a shitty move to talk about shit that wasn't on mic. But yeah.
But there's people that come through on my feed who are just average people. They're not famous.
I'll put a video of earlier in the podcast up here for reference.
Of the UFC. And also put in a clip. I'll find it. I don't know if you're allowed to do this, so tell me if you can't. But also a clip of somebody who plays guitar. And these people are just average people, but they're so bloody good. But for whatever reason, they haven't pursued a musical career, or perhaps they do. But But yeah, it's.
I guess it's the same with comedy though.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it wouldn't
the same,
just
yeah.
be music. Like there'd be so many blokes that are just hilarious that are just. But also with comedy, it is kind of different, right? Like because you can be like with the guitar. If I'm sitting at home and I play, and I'm good at playing guitar, it's not as much of a step to do that on stage. Whereas I can be funny at the pub and then step up on stage. It's a big step to doing that in front of people.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something like I sort of went and had a crack at comedy because I was funny, wasn't I?
You were, yeah.
But I would sort of,
No, you're good.
I would have banter with people, and it was kind of funny. And people would say, "Oh, you're funny, Jeremy," but the stuff that I say in stories to people that doesn't translate on a stage. So there's some stuff that does. Like I've sort of done a bit about my son saying my balls look like my butt, which is a really good bit, and he genuinely said that. But there's other things that just don't. I was trying to think what it was. Yeah, that's a good segue, isn't it? But there's other things that I can tell people, and it's hilarious. Here, I'll try this.
Yeah. Oh, this is the biggest crowd you've ever done this joke to. Yeah, let's get it out.
So I
you don't have to burn it on the show if you don't want. So.
No, so I don't think this works on stage, but you can tell me if you think differently. So I'm in the public service. I used to work with a guy who I won't say his name. We used to both ride to school, to work, not to school, and we would get changed together in the change room. He was my boss at the time, and he had a very odd body shape. So he had a really long torso and really short legs.
Like Wee Man.
Yeah.
But
like
full size.
Like a full size
Wee Man, yeah. Little person.
And it was, little, sorry.
You thought about it and still fucked it up.
It was just very honest to think, like, he was a really nice guy. I really liked him. I really enjoyed working with him. So it was nothing to do with his work capabilities. He was a great boss. And we used to think it was quite weird. I used to have a bit of a giggle to myself about my boss who had this funny body shape. But anyway, so years later, I had kids, right? And
one of them looked like him.
My second son,
that's
Leo.
not my kid. No.
My second son, Leo.
Yeah.
He's now 7. Anyway, Kirsten, my partner, one day she said, "Leo has your body shape," because Oscar, the older one, is like Kirsten. He's very sort of tall and lanky, and said, "Leo's got your body shape." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Oh, he's got a really long torso and short legs." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And so I realised at that point that I had the same body shape as my former boss that I used to make fun of. And I found that out through my child. And then I looked at Leo and thought, yeah, he does. He's got a really long torso and short legs. Yeah. I have it. My dad had it now.
Well, glad that like it was that way and not like, like your missus banged your boss sort of thing.
Yeah, it was much better to find out through my child.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's always a funny story.
He came out with the grey ponytail and glasses. You're like, there's no doubt on that one.
So that's a story I tell people, and people always sort of find that, and it is quite a funny sort of scenario. But I don't know if I've ever told it on stage because I just don't think it would work. Like,
I've got an idea on how to punch that up, and I'll tell you off mic because I'll tell you off mic because I want people to like anyone that's seen you telling that joke. And then when you finally get it to work on stage, we'll be able to do a contrast between you telling me how you used to do the joke versus how we punched it up, and then you doing it. Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'll be content.
I'll even credit you on stage, Mark. And say Marky Worthington helped me. But anyway, that'd be good. So there's stuff that that seems to be funny. You can sort of take on stage, and it is funny. There's stuff that seems to be funny, but then you take on stage and doesn't really seem to translate, but as you say, it's hard to know. Like I've thought about doing that bit, and I've never done it because I don't think it will work. But I don't know.
The thing is, the way I look at it is, I told this to a newer comedian on the scene recently. Sometimes you think something's funny, and you can see how that's funny, but you just need to work out how to convey to the audience so that they can see it how you see it. Yeah.
There's lots of that.
And I get stubborn, and I'm like, you
idiots.
You
should find this funny.
Yeah, you fucking dumb cunts. If you could just look at this how I see it, you would be laughing.
What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, well, like, did you forget whose fucking room this is? So I'll be like, this is a good joke. I just need to convey it in a way so that you can see it how I see it. And I'll try several different ways. The way I picture it is, it's like, do you know the going back to something more relatable, you know those toys that kids have where they get like the shaped blocks and it's got to fit into the
Yeah, that Tupperware one. Yeah.
So I look at it as like, this is the joke and I know it's good. I've just got to find which way to put that so that the audience can see it. Like, I'll try this way, now that doesn't work, try this way, no, that doesn't work. And then eventually I'll be like, all right, now you can get the joke. I'll like force that into your fucking head. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it's just about finding a way so that they can see it how you wanted to see it. And I think that a lot of, and the reason that I mentioned it before is because sometimes someone will try a new joke and I can see where they're going with it, but the audience can't, because I'm like, 3 steps ahead of the average person.
Yeah. But sorry, I missed that, saying you're more intelligent. But things do happen differently in your head than and there's things you can see in your head that aren't necessarily obvious.
Because I've been doing it for like long enough to see where the fucking like what they're trying to get at. Yeah. Or maybe I had that same thought. Like, I've had someone say a joke at an open mic and I'm like, I thought of that, but this is how I conveyed it. I've given people, like, unsolicited advice on how they could be funnier. And they're just like, yeah, fucking thanks for fixing me. But no, I'll tell someone, like, I had a similar joke to that and this is how I conveyed it. Now, I don't do that joke anymore, so I'm not going to tread on your toes. You can, like, see if that works with yours. And I've given shit away because I'm like, I tried it. It didn't really work for me, and you seem to have a better approach than me on that bit, so it's all yours. Sometimes it's just about having a different set of eyes on the same joke to help convey it in a different way, which is why it's good sometimes to bounce ideas off each other. You mentioned a story before with your boss and the long tour. So that gets me into the segment for the show. It is time for story time.
Yeah.
Come on, grab your friends. We're all...
I already forgot this one.
Okay. The fun will never end. It's...
Story time.
There we go.
Do I just kick off? Or?
Yeah, so let's get into it. Story time. What do you got?
So one of the things I like about doing comedy is that there's stuff... I don't know if this is bad or not, but there's stuff that I am more than happy to say because that I think other people would find embarrassing, but I just don't really care. I think there's bits of jokes that I do that and sometimes I'm meant to be making fun of myself, but I think people think I'm sort of making fun of someone else. But I don't mind looking silly. That could be because I'm on antidepressants as well, and I just have no sense of
humour.
No sense of humor, but also no sense of embarrassment. But anyway, so
that's a thing, though, right? Like that isn't. It also suppresses other emotions in some people. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't laugh at you, Marky.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I like your stuff.
Yeah. Good.
But anyway, so
that'll be the name of my fucking special. Even the antidepressants couldn't stop me.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So there's stuff that I think. I don't know, I sort of struggle to say I'm good at comedy, but the thing that I can do well at comedy is I can say stuff that other people wouldn't be prepared to say. Like I wee in the shower. I don't care if people know that I wee in the shower.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I think everyone wees in the shower.
A lot of people do, yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people would admit it.
Yeah.
So, but I think part of the reason I've reached a point where I'm not as embarrassed by stuff as I should, which segues into the story time. I'm not just sort of waffling here, but is I spent time in hospital in 2008. I had a motorbike accident where I just about ripped my foot off my leg.
Oh, fuck. What bike was it?
It was a Suzuki SV1000.
Okay.
And it was much bigger than me. Sorry, much too big for me.
Yeah.
I was riding with a guy who was much better than me, and I was trying to keep up with him. It was really stupid. It was that typical male ego thing. It's why men die. It was pretty close. Like, it could have been a lot worse. But anyway, I spent 3 months in hospital getting various operations to keep my leg on, and that process of being in hospital, just my inhibitions just disappeared because you're in hospital. And I remember that the first night I was in hospital, the night I had the accident, remember I had to wee in the bed because I couldn't get up. I was in this metal frame holding my leg together.
Like a halo, but for your foot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So on the first night it was just a make do thing, and then I had the halo thing for about
Couple
12
paddle
months.
pop sticks and shit made you
pretty
fucked
much.
up.
Yeah. But anyway, I remember the first night, and I had to do a wee, and so I had to ask for one of those little containers.
Yeah.
But I was so embarrassed because by that stage I'd never been in hospital before. I'd never had to wee. I was really self-conscious about it. I asked the nurse to close the curtain. This was 10 o'clock at night. There was no one around. So she got me the little bottle. I said, "Can you just close the curtain, please?" And so I did a wee. But by the end of my time in hospital, I was just weeing with people in the general vicinity. Like the person in the bed next to me could be sitting there with their family, and I could just do a wee because it just became so normal. And I remember when I was in hospital, I had to get this procedure done where they had to find veins in my leg, veins and arteries, because I had to do a free flap operation, which is taking a bit of muscle off my back and plugging it into my leg to plug up a hole. And so the I don't know what they are, but the specialist had to find suitable veins and arteries to connect up the muscle.
Yep.
And so they said, "Look, you're going to see this guy, whatever specialist he was." He said he needs to go into an artery at the top of your leg, that big, it must be femoral artery or something, and he'll put dye in there and he'll look at a scan, and the dye, like that radioactive stuff, will light up. So they said, "You're going to go get that tomorrow," so prior to the free flap surgery. They said, "What you need to do is shave your groin," so he's got access. And I didn't ask, but I just thought, right, I'll shave my groin. And I went to town, Mark. Like I did some serious landscaping. Manscaping down there. Because I just thought, shave my groin. I took that very literally.
Yeah.
And so, because I had a broken leg, I wasn't able to get up. I had to spend lots of time lying in bed. And so I was lying in bed, nude, with a plastic bucket of soapy water between my legs, lathering up.
You did it with a Bic, dude?
Sorry?
You didn't use an electric one?
No. I didn't have an electric one. I just had it wasn't a Bic, but it was just a fairly standard razor.
Not a lighter like the razor.
Anyway, so I was sitting there in my bed, and luckily I was in a room where I was up the far end, so it wasn't a thoroughfare. And I could spend days there, Marky, with only a nurse occasionally coming in to do something, and I would see no one. And my curtain was closed because I was shaving my groin. So I was sitting there with a container, just expecting I'd just be free to shave myself. And so I was lathered up, like I had soap everywhere, and I was shaving my groin and doing a lot of removal of stuff. And like I say, I could have spent days there seeing maybe one or two people, but for whatever reason, while I was shaving my groin, people just decided to start coming into my fucking room while I was sitting there with my balls in one hand and a razor in the other, just shaving my genital, my groin. One guy came in just to check the bed. He wanted to check the serial number on the bed. Like, of all the times he had to come and check, he was just a maintenance guy, right? He came in and said, "Yeah, I'm just going to check the serial number of the bed." I'm like, "Really? You have to do this now while I'm sitting there with my balls in my hand?" And then other people were coming in as well. Like a person who was like just a trainee nurse or something. She just happened to wander in and go, "How you going?" Like, what the fuck are you doing? And so I think it was that point, right, where so I shaved a lot, and I went in for the procedure the next day. All I had to shave was like a square patch about that big, but I essentially stripped my entire groin area of any sort of hair whatsoever. And it turns out that I didn't need to do that anyway. With all these people coming in and checking on me, I don't know if somebody worded them up, said, "Go check on this guy," because they knew I was shaving them. Anyway, I think there's a point where all my inhibitions pretty much disappeared. Because it's just something I had to do. Like I had to just shave my groin. Yeah. And it's just a thing. Like it doesn't really matter. And it's quite, it was quite embarrassing at the time, but it was so funny that you just sort of think, well, fuck. and that I think helps. So that links back to the comedy, because I just don't. There's so many things that we're so embarrassed about as people that just don't really matter,
But fear controls everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it's if you have no fear, truly no fear. Like I used to play ice hockey, right? And if you see kids get out on the ice, they don't know what it's like to hurt yourself. And they're usually better skaters because they don't skate with the idea of, I don't want to get hurt. Whereas I didn't start playing until I was like 23. so I already knew what it's like to fucking hurt yourself. So the minute I would start to fall, I would panic.
Yeah.
And so I played for like, I still technically play, but not currently in a season. But I was 6 months in, I got into a team where, I was 6 months in, I got into a team, I played a few games. I couldn't skate for shit, but like I was getting a bit of puck time, so that's cool. I fucking ran over a ref one time. They thought it was on purpose, so they started calling me the goon. And it was just after he made a call against us, and I was like going in for a penalty shootout, and I just couldn't fucking stop in time and just bowled him over. Got in trouble.
You do look like an enforcer on a team. Anyway.
I was happy to like have a spot in the team, so I was just take what I can get. But we're at training one time, and we're doing what they call suicide stops. So that's where you just, instead of doing them, you kill yourself. No, so what you do is you skate from one side to the other, sideways. So it's kind of like you're just like slowly working your way up to and it's just about finding the edges on your skates and that sort of shit. Now, I caught a divot in the ice on one side, so when I've caught it like that, I've overcorrected and stood up, put my weight up, and then rolled over one side, and my ankle was like sideways underneath me. So I had to they come over, a few, like the coach and one of the other blokes came over and helped me up and took me over to the side, and like it just instantly started swelling up, and the swelling kind of put it back in place, you know what I mean? But yeah, I went to hospital, and I needed to wait for the swelling to go down for a week, and then I had to get surgery because the fibia had a spiral fracture, the ankle had a separation tear, and all this shit. Now, when I was in hospital...
Did you have to shave your balls?
No.
Okay.
I did anyway, but they were like, no, that's fine. I remember once I went to the doctor with my sleep apnea, because I have sleep apnea. Yeah. And I fucking fell. I was sometimes when I wake up, trying to breathe in the middle of the night.
With your machine? Or?
No, before I got the machine. Yeah. This was like leading up to me getting the machine. I was like, sometimes I wake up and it feels like my balls are getting tugged. And because I was just like you were saying, I was just telling him everything with no fear.
Yeah.
Because as a doctor, right? Well, now I'm putting it on a podcast, but yeah, like I trialed it on him, and now I'm trying it on the rest of the world. But I told him that, and he, in full seriousness, I was just like, is that like something? Could that be related? You know, I'm just trying to tell him everything, you know. And he's like, oh, that might be something else, but thanks for letting me know. And so yeah, I
Did you still get that on the machine? Like, it feels like balls are being tugged, or that's gone now?
Yeah, no, I stopped dating that chick, so it was her the whole time. But yeah, anyway, so I had to go get surgery, and while I was in hospital, I don't know if it was what they give you for the surgery or something like that. Like, they must have pumped a lot of IV into me or something.
Was this the ankle, or was this
the
sleep?
This is the ankle.
Okay, yeah.
So that was a side quest. Back to the main story. So I filled one of those jugs of piss.
Yeah.
In the first like few hours of being in like post surgery care, and I was like, "Can you grab me another one?" And I didn't know this, but they've got this big one that they pour it into, like back in the clean room or whatever. Like, they pour them all into that, and then they tip that out. So I filled another one of those jugs, and then they were like, "Okay, here's like another one." I got the surgery at like 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And like by the time like 10 o'clock rolls around, I've already filled like 3 fucking jugs. Right?
Oh, what do you mean drinking?
I don't know. I was just like, for some reason, just...
Well, that's a lot, but anyway. I mean, that's good you're hydrating, Marky. That's good. Anyway, go on.
The night shift person came over and was like, we've run out of jugs in this ward. I'm like, well, I need to pee. So she brings over the fucking big jug that you like, that they pour...
Dip it into...
and said, do you want to just start peeing instead. So I'm like on the edge of the bed trying to pee in like the big one that they put it in. It felt like a chamber pot, like I was just sliding it to one side.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so that's...
Did you feel that one? Or?
No, I didn't feel that one. I mean, I took it on as a challenge, but I didn't want them to run out of bottled water as well. So
Yeah, I remember again the first night, like I was initially like I'd get so concerned I'd overflow that thing, so I'd do one, hand it in.
Okay.
But by the end of my stay in hospital, I was like an expert. I could measure, well, hang on, there's enough space for 2 more wheeze in that bottle, so I'd sort of hold on to it. It was quite a liberating experience being in hospital. But
yeah. No, it removes all, like you said. Once you get rid of some of those like little things that people get tied up about, it actually does free you up a lot.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
now, I've also got a sleep apnea machine, Mark.
Oh, do you?
Marky? Yeah. Have I told you?
No.
So I've got sleep apnea as well. But my machine, right? I don't know how yours goes, but I've got a weak sphincter, not a butt sphincter, like
internal.
a sphincter into the
So
stomach.
do I. Yeah.
So,
I had acid reflux when I was a kid, and it burnt it.
So, because of, I think this is what it is, my machine pumps up my stomach at night.
Oh.
So air, in addition to keeping my airways open.
Which end do you put the machine on? I think I've been doing it wrong.
Do you get air in your stomach? Like, do you wake up?
I use the full face mask.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Do you?
No.
What, you use the nose one, do you?
Yeah, I had a nasal pillow.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful conversation.
Yeah.
But now I have one that goes over my nose, but it doesn't do the whole face. But yeah.
Yeah, no, so because I do the whole face, I find that I tend to inhale through my nose more, so it's less likely to pump my stomach up.
Yeah, okay.
But for the first year of using it, I used to get that as well.
Okay. So I have a chin strap as well, so I've got a strap around my head.
Yeah. Mouth guard?
No mouth guard. I just have to keep the mouth closed. And so I've got this, this
Yeah.
hose.
Yeah. No, I've tried that before, but I just didn't need it because like the mouth was covered, so whether my mouth's open or closed, I'm fine.
Yeah, okay. So what I find, and I still get it. So initially my setting was really high, and it would be terrible. Like I would actually get so pumped up at night, I couldn't walk to the toilet because there was so much air inside me. But I've turned the machine down, and it still happens, but it's not as bad. But if I lie on my right hand side, because this is what I think, because my stomach, the exit to my stomach is covered in stomach contents, my stomach just fills up, and so I have to wake up and burp. So I wake up. If I lie on my left hand side, that exit to my stomach is open, and I fart, so that the air goes into my intestine.
Either way,
I just fart. Yeah, it's that's my apnea story. Is I wake up burping or farting. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like takes a while to get used to. But yeah, I've had it the machine now for about 5 years. Yeah.
I was worried, of course, it was going to sort of cause problems in the bed. Sort of intimacy would disappear in the bedroom, but it's fine. It hasn't caused any problems. But.
Yeah, well, you can't fucking divide zero by anything more than zero.
Well, no, I sort of figure I'm just concerned my wife seems to appear to be attracted to someone who looks like they're in a coma. That's not normal.
If it increased the intimacy, you'd be more worried. Like, oh yeah, like. While we're playing dress ups, I got this neck brace for you to put on. Fucking, I got me old Halo from my leg. If you want to bung that on, fucking. But yeah, anyway, that wraps us up with the podcast. We've got some dates coming up. We've got the Mortal Komedy Roast at the Basement. Jeremy's on that with me. We've got Taylor Coftry and Kai Fei also. The 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Looking forward to that. Have you been writing jokes? You ready to rock?
Yeah, I've just been writing. So yeah, I mean, it'd just be a bunch of men insulting each other. Like that's it'll just be like being back at high school, like just waiting for somebody to say something mean to me. Yeah. No, that'll be good. I mean, if it'll be alright if I've got you, because there's lots of things I can say to you about your hair and stuff. But I mean, I'm not sure about Kai Fei, because Kai Fei is a really nice guy. Like he's probably one of the nicest guys in Canberra comedy. Yeah. I don't know how I go insulting him. Plus he's Indigenous and I'm white, and so if I insult Kai Fei, I'll just look like I'm racist. but if I got you, I'll be okay.
Then you're good. Yeah. Well, either way, I reckon it'll be a good fun night. That's on the 6th of September at the Basement, Tuesday the 6th of September. The tickets are on OzTix or in my bio on Instagram, so check that one out.
Yeah, it'll be good.
But yeah, looking forward to it, and we'll be able to smash through it, see the ultimate winner at the end of the night.
Yeah. You think it's going to be you, don't you, Marky?
I'd like it to be me, but I can't say that I think it's going to be me.
I don't know. It'll be good. It'll be good to do that because
I'm just in like the way I've got it laid out is even if you win or lose, you still have the same amount of stage time. So like it doesn't really matter whether you win or lose. It's still like everyone's still getting the same amount of fun out of it, sort of thing.
I mean, it doesn't bother me because I'm not competitive, but it'll bother you, won't it? If you don't win, you're competitive, aren't you? I can tell by the way you organise your comedy stuff. You're very driven. Yeah. Whereas I'm not competitive, but it'll shit you if you don't win, won't it?
It's it'll shit me if I don't get to use some of the shit that I want to say. So yeah, I like to make use of stuff. Like if I write a bit, I want to try it, and if it doesn't work, I want to know that I gave it my best. Yeah. So if I write a joke that's really good and I don't get to use it, then that's what like is more annoying. But I'm happy to. Yeah, honestly, if as long as everything runs smoothly, I'll be happy at the end of the night. As long as everyone's there, everyone does their thing, everyone. Gets some good, and we get some good laughs and decent audience participation, then I'm happy.
Yeah, no, that's a good part of it, Mark. I think I've said to you before that idea of getting the crowd involved in voting is if I don't win, I can blame it on them that they're a bunch of morons. So sorry if you guys are coming.
Yeah, fuck them. All right, thanks heaps for being on the show. Cheers for everyone for tuning in and sticking around, listening to the whole episode. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace. Don't buy me a drink. Just name names. Yeah, right. Big Tony. You'll get fucking thrown out of the strip club with your floppy disk. All day. Make people feel shame for shit all day.
Don't blow
Turn
it.
it into a hard drive. Yeah, right. We're here to
Keep it simple. Count your money.
that they're not proud of. Just give me $10. All right.
Thanks, Marky. Do we have chemistry? Do we have beautiful chemistry?
I think so. Yeah, on and off mic as well, just in case anyone's wondering.
In this back room here. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.